to Tales from Africa with our Auntie Ejike.
Come on, kids, it's story time. Once upon a time, in a small village called Ulo, there lived a little girl named Nneka. She had no mother or father. They passed away when she was just a baby, and no one in the village knew her relatives. Nneka was all alone in the world. The only person who took her in was Mama Ejike, a rich but very mean woman who lived in the biggest house in the village. Mama Ejike had servants and plenty of food. She gave Nneka a small corner of the kitchen to sleep and some old clothes to wear. In return, Nneka had to work very hard, fetch water from the river, swept the compound, washed the clothes, and cooked food for the whole house. But Mama Ejike never showed Nneka kindness. She shouted at her and called her lazy, even when Nneka tried her very best. She never gave her good food, only the scraps from the table after everyone else had eaten. Nneka's only friends were the birds that sang in the trees outside Mama Ejike's house. When she could, Nneka would sit under the big mango tree and talk to them. One day, she whispered to them, "I will leave this place, I will be free, and I will be happy." But for many years, it seemed like Nneka's life would never change. She grew older, but Mama Ejike's cruelty remained the same. One hot afternoon, as Nneka was walking back from the river with a heavy pot of water on her head, she saw an old woman sitting by the roadside. The woman was very old. Her hair was as white as cotton, and she wore a long wrapper that looked like it had been passed down for generations. "Nneka," the old woman called out in soft voice. Nneka was surprised that the woman knew her name. She stopped and greeted her. "Good afternoon, Mama." The old woman smiled. "You have a kind heart, child, but you carry a heavy burden. Come closer." Nneka carefully set down the water pot and sat down beside the old woman. "How do you know me?" she asked. "I have watched you for many years. You are an orphan, but you are strong. Life has not been easy for you, but it's about to change." The old woman pulled out a small stone from her bag. It was smooth and shiny, glowing with a soft light. "Take this stone, Nneka. It's no ordinary stone. Whenever you're in need, hold it close to your heart and make a wish. But remember, the stone will only work if your wish is pure." Nneka's eyes widened. "Can it really help me?" "Only if you believe, child," the old woman said. "But use it wisely." With that, the old woman stood up and disappeared into the forest as quickly as she had appeared. That night, after a long day of work, Nneka lay on her thin mat in the kitchen corner. She held the magic stone in her hand and thought about what the old woman had said. "I wish I could be free," Nneka whispered. "I wish I could leave this place and find happiness." The next morning, something strange happened. Mama Ejike called Nneka into her room. Nneka, I'm traveling to the big city for a week. You will stay here and look after the house. If anything goes wrong, I will punish you when I return. Nneka was scared at first. She had never been left alone in the house before. But as soon as Mama Ejike left, Nneka felt a strange sense of peace. She cleaned the house quickly, and for the first time in her life, she cooked herself a proper meal. She ate until her belly was full and then saved some for the days ahead. Every night, Nneka held the stone and made small wishes for strength, for food, for peace, and the stone answered her every time. A few days after Mama Ejike left, a visitor came to the village. It was Chief Adigwe, a wealthy trader who owned shops all over the big city. He was looking for someone to take care of his shop in Ulo while he traveled for businesses. Chief Adigwe's assistant came to Mama Ejike's house looking for her, but Mama Ejike was still away, and the assistant found Nneka instead. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am Nneka, the servant here," she replied shyly. "You look like a hard worker," the assistant said, noticing how clean the house was. "Chief Adigwe needs someone trustworthy to take care of his business while he's away. Would you like to do the job?" Nneka's heart skipped a beat. This was her chance. "Yes, I would love to work for Chief Adigwe," she said. The next day, Nneka started her new job at a shop. Chief Adigwe was kind and paid her well. Every evening she would return to Mama Ejike's house, but she no longer feared her. She had her own money now, and she knew she could take care of herself. When Mama Ejike came back from the city, she was shocked to find that Nneka had been working at Chief Adigwe's shop. "How dare you take another job without my permission?" she shouted. But Nneka stood tall. "I no longer need your permission, Mama Ejike. I have my own money now, and I will leave your house." Mama Ejike was furious, but there was nothing she could do. Nneka packed her few belongings and left the house that very day. With her new job, Nneka began to save money. She worked hard at Chief Adigwe's shop, and he soon trusted her with more responsibilities. In time, she moved into a small house of her own and owned a small shop selling food and clothes. Her business grew and grew, and soon people from all over the village came to buy from her. Years passed, and Nneka became one of the richest women in the village. She no longer lived in a small house. Instead, she had a big house with many rooms and a large compound. She also helped orphans in the village, giving them food and a place to stay, just like she had once dreamed. One dry season, the crops in the village failed and many people went hungry. Mama Ejike, who had once been so rich and powerful, lost all her money. She had no food, no servants, and no one to help her. She was now the one who struggled to survive. One day, weak and hungry, Mama Ejike walked through the village looking for food. She passed by Nneka's big house and saw smoke coming from the kitchen. The smell of food made her stomach growl, but she felt ashamed but desperate. She knocked on Nneka's gate. Nneka came out, and for a moment, Mama Ejike couldn't believe her eyes. The little orphan girl she had mistreated for so many years was now a rich and successful woman. Nneka, Mama Ejike said quietly, her voice shaking. Please, I have no food. I am hungry. Nneka looked at the old woman, remembering all the years of pain and suffering she had endured in her house. For a moment, she felt anger rising inside her, but then she remembered the magic stone and the lesson the old woman had taught her about having a pure heart. Come inside, Nneka said softly. Mama Ejike could hardly believe what she heard. Nneka led her into the house and gave her a plate of food. As Mama Ejike ate, tears filled her eyes. Thank you, Nneka. I was so cruel to you. I don't deserve your kindness. Nneka smiled. It's never too late to change, Mama Ejike. I learned that from my own journey. I will not treat you the way you treated me. From that day on, Nneka helped Mama Ejike, giving her food and a place to stay. The village people were amazed at how kind Nneka was, even to the woman who had once treated her so badly. And so, Nneka's story became a legend in the village, a story of strength, kindness and forgiveness. She had gone from being an orphan with nothing to a queen in her own right, not just because of her wealth, but because of her heart. And that's the end of our story. Here are 5 lessons from the story. 1. Kindness triumphs over cruelty. Despite how Mama Ejike treated her, Nneka chose kindness in the end. This shows that being kind even to those who hurt you is the strongest choice. 2. Hard work pays off. Nneka worked hard even when her life was difficult. Her dedication and effort eventually led her to success, teaching us that persistence leads to better things. 3. Forgiveness heals. Nneka forgave Mama Ejike instead of seeking revenge. Forgiveness is powerful and can bring peace and healing to both the giver and the receiver. 4. Help those in need. Nneka helped orphans in the village because she knew what it felt like to suffer. This teaches us that we should always try to help those who are less fortunate. And finally, believe in your dreams. Nneka believed that her life would get better even when things seemed impossible. Her belief in a brighter future helped her overcome her struggles, reminding us to never stop dreaming. And that's it on Tales from Africa with me, Ijele. I'll see you again soon.